Welcome to Timekeeping. This show will attempt to chronicle year-by-year changes to the Walt Disney World Resort, from exciting new ride openings to the minutia of a store changing names. Join us as we count down to the 50th anniversary of the vacation kingdom of the world. 1994 wasn't the best year for the Walt Disney Company. Frank Wells died in a heliskiing accident on April 3rd. In July, Michael Eisner had a heart attack leading to quadruple bypass surgery. Jeffrey Katzenberg, the head of the studios, left the company to co-found DreamWorks. There were continued issues with the now renamed Disneyland Paris. These issues led the company's management to change their plans and become a little less aggressive with expansion. However, this didn't mean things at Walt Disney World would ground to a halt. In fact, 1994 is likely the year that defined the parks for the entire decade. At the Magic Kingdom, the opening day restaurant Adventureland Veranda closed its doors in July. Lafitte's portrait deck became just Lafitte's and sold pirate merchandise near Pirates of the Caribbean. The Davy Crockett Explorer canoes closed permanently either sometime in late 1993 or early 1994. Fantasyland saw a few more extensive changes. Most notably, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea submarine voyage ride would be shuttered on September 5th, supposedly to just be a temporary closure. We'll see how that turns out. Snow White's Scary Adventures would close in the summer and would reopen on December 16th as Snow White's Adventures. The ride would see the removal of 2 witch figures, the addition of another, the singing dwarf scene was added, the witch being defeated was now featured, and a happily ever after finale was added to the ride. The vehicles were upgraded to 3 rows instead of 2 for capacity. Lighting effects were changed and the chase sequence through the woods was made to be less scary for young children. Most importantly, to solve the problem of Snow White not appearing in her own ride, 2 paintings and 3 figures of the titular princess were added. The Royal Candy Shop next door became the Seven Dwarfs Mining Company, fittingly. Also added to Fantasyland was Legend of the Lion King. The show opened in the former home of Magic Journeys on July 8th, just 2 weeks after the film opened. The puppet show begins with a pre-show of the costumed actor playing Rafiki, describing the story before cutting to the actual Circle of Life sequence from the film. The main theater show begins with Mufasa telling Simba about being king, before the show cuts to I Just Can't Wait to Be King, and then Be Prepared, all acted by puppets with audio taken from the movie. The Stampede Scene incorporated footage from the film, but omitted Mufasa's actual fall. Next was Hakuna Matata and Can You Feel the Love Tonight? The finale conflict again heavily relies on the animation, before ending with a large puppet scene for the Circle of Life's return. The show was sponsored by Kodak. The transformation to New Tomorrowland was in full swing. With construction starting on January 9th, closures were happening around the land. The spires at the entrance were removed to be replaced by the UFO archway and the rockwork along the Hub Canal. The white and pastel color scheme was replaced by steampunk sci-fi looks that featured lots of rivets, gears, and antennas with blue, silver, and bronze colors. Almost all the shops and restaurants would change names and appearances. Merchant of Venus replaced the Starport in June. At the same time, Anti-Gravity's Galactic Goodies would replace the lunching pad, but the name would remain, now replacing the space bar in the middle of Rocket Tower Plaza. Cosmic Ray's Starlight Cafe opened without Sunny Eclipse on December 9th, displacing the Tomorrowland Terrace, which closed in September. The area was also redecorated with futuristic phone booths, a newspaper-selling robot, mechanical palm trees, and a map of the land carved onto a giant marble ball that floated atop a water jet. On January 10th, both Starjets and the Wedway People Mover would close to begin their transformations. In June, both would reopen in their new forms. The Astro Orbiter would take the place of the Starjets, losing the Saturn V theme and replacing it with stylized rockets orbiting in and around similarly stylized planets. The Tomorrowland Transit Authority, the new name of the People Mover, would almost serve as the centerpiece of the reimagined land, using its narration to tell the whole area's story. While the ride itself remained mostly unchanged, the narration and a few new dioramas described Tomorrowland as an intergalactic hub city, and the different attractions in the land would now take place at the Convention Center, the Science Center, at Historical Society landmarks. Also closing on January 10th was American Journeys. A new Circle Vision film would replace it on November 21st. At the newly christened Transportarium, part of the aforementioned Metropolis Science Center, guests would watch the film from time to time, which would quickly be renamed to the namesake of this program, The Timekeeper. Adapted from Disneyland Paris's Le Visionarium, the film would now be hosted by two animatronic robots, the titular Timekeeper and his time-traveling sidekick Nine-Eye, who would be voiced by the legendary comedians Robin Williams and Rhea Perlman, respectively. In the show, the Timekeeper is demonstrating his new invention of time travel by sending Nine-Eye into the past, including to Da Vinci's workshop and a Mozart concert, all until she inadvertently kidnaps Jules Verne at the Great Paris Exhibition. The Timekeeper and Nine-Eye then show Verne around the modern world before taking us all to the future. With FedEx replacing RCA as the sponsor, Space Mountain also saw significant changes. The ride closed October 10th and reopened November 18th. The entrance was partially closed off and a new exit building was created. The sign pylon was replaced. In the queue, TVs were added to show SMTV or Space Mountain TV, a fictionalized network that played fake space-themed news and weather reports, ads for Crazy Larry's used spaceships, ads for Excess Tech and FedEx as well, and a music video for Ghost Riders in the Sky. The queue itself was updated with art reading FX1 and locations around the galaxy. On December 15th, the Tomorrowland stage reopened as the Galaxy Palace Theater, now hosting Galaxy Search, a variety talent show based on Star Search. Mickey hosted the show while other characters presented alien acts they brought back from around the galaxy. Chip and Dale lead off the tripods, followed by Minnie dancing to Respect with robots from Detroit, while Goofy is trying to rush his act before it gets too hungry. Next comes Pluto with the three-headed dogs from Pluto, and Donald then presents some bird people performing Rollin' on the River. Goofy's act then comes out, being revealed to be King, a giant Elvis impersonator puppet that appears off to the right of the stage. Goofy and King are declared the winners, and the whole cast perform a finale number. The most anticipated and controversial addition to Tomorrowland was the extraterrestrial alien encounter. The first short-lived version of the attraction soft opened on December 16th. Originally designed for Disneyland and then intended to be featuring the Xenomorph from the Alien movie franchise, this was now an original concept hosted by alien company XS Tech at the Interplanetary Convention Center. The first pre-show would feature model Tyra Banks, dubbed over by another actress. Kathy Najimy, Kevin Pollak, and Jeffrey Jones as Chairman Clench rounded out the pre-show. This version began with a second pre-show hosted by Tom 2000, a more sarcastic than menacing robot voiced by Saturday Night Live's Phil Hartman. TOM, or Tom, demonstrates short-term teleportation, but accidentally fries the animatronic subject. Contrary to the comical pre-show, the main attraction was extremely frightening. It was still a theater in the round, reusing the Mission to Mars space. In the story, Chairman Clench was being teleported to the theater to meet the audience, but they accidentally brought a carnivorous alien in instead. The show relied on binaural audio, tactile effects built into the seat restraint system, and darkness to tell the story of when the alien escapes, eats audience members, and is eventually destroyed. In this version, Clench did make it to Earth at the end, only to be stuck in the tube. Epcot Center would change its name to Epcot 94, distancing itself from what it was originally and foreshadowing what it would become. The name also reflected the changes the park was currently undergoing. It received its first festival with the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, which ran for just 38 days starting April 29th. The event featured 165,000 annuals and daily speakers and was presented by Better Homes and Gardens. Speaking of seasonality, Horizons would close to begin operating seasonally in December of 1994. The marquee attraction of the park, Spaceship Earth, would see its first major upgrade since 1986. Closing on August 15th, the end of the ride would change to reflect more modern technologies. The 1980s scene of the Network Operations Center was removed to be replaced by a video conference between an American boy and an Asian girl talking about their achievements in martial arts and baseball, as well as a futuristic cityscape. The tunnel before the top dome was updated with new lighting effects, and the dome scene itself saw the space station and astronauts removed. The new descent would highlight this form of telecommunications, showing scenes of world news, children in school, and various vignettes of people using holographic chats thanks to a Pepper's Ghost effect, all of these taking place about work, a graduation, and the birth of a new little girl. The final visual would be a model of the ride building leading to a fiber optic trail overhead. The new version would open on November 23rd and feature both a dramatic new score and a new narrator in the form of Jeremy Irons, who also appeared in 2 other attractions that opened this year, The Timekeeper and Legend of the Lion King. Along with the attraction, Spaceship Earth's post-show would change. Earth Station and its bank of World Key information kiosks would be replaced by the Global Neighborhood, a series of interactive exhibits highlighting communications. These included Interactive Wonderland, Ride the AT&T Network, the Storyteller Phone, You Don't Say, and Communication Breakdown. Interactive Wonderland was a voice command interactive game based on the Adventures in Wonderland TV series. Ride the AT&T Network was a mini-motion simulator that rocked back and forth as you traveled telecommunication lines as part of a field trip. The Storyteller Phone added background noise to a phone call simulating different places. You Don't Say was a game about literal translations as you had to guess what the foreign idioms meant. Communication Breakdown featured a Brick Breaker-style game where you had to play over a network with a partner. Communicore attractions closed completely with the end of the Energy Exchange on January 31st. The Stargate restaurant closed on April 30th to become the Electric Umbrella on June 24th. The Fountain View Espresso and Bakery had replaced the Sunrise Terrace on November 9, 1993. The other part was replaced by Pasta Piazza Ristorante in May 1994. When Innoventions opened on July 1st, it included presentations by General Electric, General Motors, Hammacher Schlemmer, and Apple, who joined in September. Other exhibits included Bill Nye, the Sega area where guests could play the latest Sega video game systems, the Magic House Tour, and the Walt Disney Imagineering Labs, which featured an early VR demonstration, which would later become a part of Disney Quest. Back at the Land Pavilion, Kitchen Cabaret closed right after the holidays on January 3rd. Food Rocks, an update on the singing food concept, opened on March 26th. The new show featured parody songs instead of original concepts. It was hosted by Food Rapper, who is voiced by Tone Loc. Kids, look him up. The musical focused more on good eating habits as opposed to the different food groups. The song list included We'll Make It Count in the Kitchen by the Utensils, which was a parody of Bohemian Rhapsody. There was also Good Nutrition by the Peach Boys, which was a parody of Good Vibrations. Every Bite You Take by the Refrigerator Police, which is Every Breath You Take. High Fiber by Peter Gabriel, a parody of Sledgehammer, which I still sing every time Sledgehammer comes on my radio. Always Read the Rapper by Food Rapper, a parody of Funky Cold Medina. Again, kids, you'll want to look this up. Just Keep It Lean by the Soul of Rock and Roll, the Shoop Shoop song. It's in his Kiss. Tutti Frutti by Little Richard, which was actually performed by Little Richard. Vegetables Are Good For You by Neil Musaka, which is a parody of Breaking Up Is Hard to Do. Let's Exercise by Chubby Cheddar, a parody of The Twist by Chubby Checker. Give Us Junk by The Excess, and Just a Little Bit by the Get the Point Sisters, a parody of Respect. Neil Sedaka, Little Richard, the Pointer Sisters, and Chubby Checker all voiced their own parody groups in this show. Captain EO closed on July 6th to be replaced by Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. On November 21st, the show would open. The new film centers on Wayne Szalinski, played by Rick Moranis, receiving the Imagination Institute's Inventor of the Year award. Eric Idle would play Dr. Nigel Channing for the first time, the director of the Imagination Institute. Marcia Strassman, Robert Olveri, and Daniel and Joshua Schaliker reprised their roles of the Szalinski family from the films as well. During the attempts to present the award, a series of mishaps caused by Szalinski's inventions, including a crashing hovercraft and a cloning machine, take place. In-theater effects would mimic actual events that would happen in the show, such as mice running under the seats of guests. As you would guess by the name of the attraction, the audience at one point is accidentally shrunk by Szalinski during a demonstration. After this point, the theater would seem to move thanks to a platform that was installed under the theater seats. Another Future World show, Splash-Tacular, opened on November 21, 1993, but only ran until June 11, 1994. Adapted from Tokyo's It's Magical, the show took place around the Future World fountain area. Mickey and friends would gather to celebrate liquid magic and color the fountain before an evil space sorceress would come to steal all of Earth's color, after having lost their planet's color in a war. A large puppet dinosaur, Pterosaur X, comes out before being defeated. Pterosaur X was actually reused and redressed after Splashtacular ended as King in Galaxy Search, and it looks like most of the costumes in this show were too. The show featured extensive pyrotechnics, dance numbers, and inflatables rising up over Spaceship Earth's post-show building. The Fountain of Nations was famously updated specifically for this show with the ability to launch fountains in synchronization with music, something that would delight guests up until its demolition just a few years ago. In World Showcase, the China art exhibit switched to Dragon, Ruler of the Wind and Waves. The American Gardens Theater underwent a rebuild in 1993 and premiered The Magical World of Barbie show on November 20th, only to quickly close before being reworked to open around Christmas. The show featured Barbie and her friends traveling the world. True to being an advertisement for Barbie, the show featured tons of different outfits and vehicles like a sports car, a submarine, and a hot air balloon. The show appeared on both the Disney Christmas Special and the Barbie Happy Birthday VHS, which I remember getting at Toys R Us. Also, with the completion of the new stage, the Candlelight Processional moved from its previous home at the Magic Kingdom to Epcot. The studios received a massive expansion with the opening of Sunset Boulevard on June 12th. It opened with 3 quick-service food locations that offered limited fare and limited seating: Catalina Eddie's Frozen Yogurt, Rosie's Red Hot Dogs, and the Anaheim Produce Company. 3 shops also lined the street. Legends of Hollywood and Once Upon a Time would be on your right as you enter, and the Sunset Ranch Market souvenirs would be on your left. A new version of the Theater of the Stars, still based on the Hollywood Bowl, opened along the right side of the street as well and showed Beauty and the Beast live on stage. Officially opening July 22nd, the main draw of Sunset Boulevard was the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Based on the classic science fiction anthology series, but telling a new original story, the ride tells the events that led to the closure of the Hollywood Tower Hotel after it was struck by lightning in 1939, causing the mysterious disappearance of 4 guests and a bellman in an elevator. After walking through the abandoned grounds and dusty lobby, complete with several nods to Twilight Zone episodes, guests are ushered into a study where a digitally recreated Rod Serling, voiced by Mark Silverman, introduces us to the story, much like he would on an episode of the show. After the pre-show, guests again queue through the boiler room to enter one of the maintenance service elevators, equipped with 3 rows of bench seats. The elevator rises and the guests see the spirits of the missing hotel guests. The doors shut and the elevator rises again, opening to the 5th dimension scene where the elevators exit their shaft and move to one of 2 main drop shafts. The room features several eerie props, including a giant eyeball that would show a picture of guests in the ride vehicle, well, when it works. Once in the drop shaft, the original version featured only 1 full 13-story drop. Guests would be able to drop faster than the speed of gravity thanks to an entirely new ride system developed by Imagineering. Once at the bottom, guests would exit through a photo purchasing area and out the Tower Hotel gift shop. Elsewhere in the park, the Studio Showcase relocated from its location across from Muppet Vision to the exit of the Backstage Studio Tour. Around the same time as this move, in late 1993, a large portion of the showcase was taken over by models that were actually used in Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. The old location would be replaced by the Studio Arcade. Walt Disney World saw 3 new resort hotels open and 1 close in 1994. On February 1st, the Disney Inn was leased to the United States Department of Defense. The hotel would continue to exist, but now as Shades of Green, only open to active and retired military personnel and some Defense Department civilian employees. It was no longer a Disney resort. Nearby at the Polynesian Resort, the concierge lounge and check-in area were moved to the Tonga Longhouse. Previously, concierge rooms were spread among all the buildings. Nestled on the shores of Bay Lake, the Wilderness Lodge opened on May 28th. This deluxe resort was designed by Peter Dominick to feel like a national park lodge in the Pacific Northwest. The 8-story building featured a cavernous main lobby festooned with totem poles, an 82-foot fireplace, and a hot spring that flows out of the building into the main pool area and out to Bay Lake. Fire Rock Geyser would erupt by the main pool area several times a day. The Wilderness Lodge Mercantile served as the main shop, while the Whispering Canyon Cafe, Artist Point, and Roaring Fork were the restaurants there at opening. Far on the other side of Walt Disney World, not near any guest areas of the time, Disney opened the All-Star Sports and All-Star Music Resorts on April 29th and November 22nd, respectively. Designed by the firm Arquitectonica, Both resorts would feature 1,920 rooms each, divided into 5 areas for each hotel. Sports would feature Touchdown, Home Run Hotel, Hoops Hotel, Surf's Up, and Center Court, which had a tennis theme, with Surf's Up to be the first to open and the Center Court being the last. Music would feature Rock In, the Country Fair, Jazz, Broadway, and Calypso. Calypso would open first in November, and Broadway would be the last to open on February 17, 1995. These themed areas would feature larger-than-life icons, some of which would serve to house staircases and themed pools and courtyards for each of the sections that consisted of 2 to 3 buildings each. Both resorts would feature a central building that would house check-in, the food court, a shop, an arcade, and an open-out to the main pool. Stadium Hall housed the End Zone food court and Sports Goofy Gifts and Sundries, while Melody Hall had the Intermission food court and Maestro Mickey's. Over at the Disney Village Marketplace, Personal Message had become Toys Fantastic. Photo Tunes was added next door to Guest Relations. The Lakeside Terrace became Goofy's Grill, and Sir Edward Haberdasher was now Harrington Bay Clothiers. Conked Out was turned into Discover, and Board Stuff became The City. Planet Hollywood, the celebrity and movie memorabilia-themed restaurant, opened on the west side of Pleasure Island on December 17. 1994 was a busy year for the company. Management weathered dramatic hardships and losses that would change the way projects would be approached in the future. But what we got in 1994 was a product of the company before these issues. Dramatic changes to all these parks, continued hotel expansion, and more would mark 1994 as one of the busiest years in the resort's 50-year history. With Disney World's silver anniversary just over the horizon, 1995 would be used as a year to tweak and adjust all the drastic changes of 1994. Well, time flies. Enjoying your jump from time to time with us? Well, please hit that like button and subscribe to support this show and others. You can also join the WDWNT Inner Globe Society for exclusive content at patreon.com/WDWNT. If you're looking for the perfect way to celebrate 50 years of Walt Disney World and will be in the Orlando area in early October, be sure to join WDWNT for the Golden Jamboree, an amazing event featuring unforgettable musical acts, special guests, Disney legends, and many more to reminisce about 5 decades of the vacation kingdom of the world. Information can be found at goldenjamboree.com. If you're looking for the gear you'll need to celebrate at Walt Disney World, you can shop for apparel, accessories, and more at carouselofproducts.com. We'll see you real soon here on Timekeeping.